this is David Schlesinger again. At this point, we're going to take a few minutes and look at some of our business strategy recommendations. Two areas that we want to focus on. Number one is consolidating properties in an effort to raise money to alleviate debt and increasing brand clarity. I'm going to talk about the property consolidation piece of it, and then Elizabeth is going to talk to us about increasing brand clarity. Generally, what we're saying is that MGM should consider selling off certain Vegas properties that are confusing their brand image. The remaining properties need to have a clearer branding strategy. Part of this idea is that the luxury properties should remain because they are highly differentiated. But in the mid-scale and budget properties, there are probably 2 or 3 properties in each area that MGM could consider selling off. By selling off these properties, MGM would get a little bit of debt off of its balance sheet and avoid a lot of interest payments, and the remaining properties could be organized in a way that would support a much clearer branding strategy. The first thing we needed to do in order to formulate a property sales strategy is to come up with some kind of way to approximate the value of MGM properties. We relied very heavily on the Penn State Index of U.S. hotel values, and this is a very, very broad index that gives you the value of a hotel room based on whether it's a luxury hotel or an upscale or a mid-scale hotel, and you would simply multiply that value by the number of rooms to get the Penn State Index value. But since these are gaming properties, we actually put a premium on the value of 25%. We got a little bit of additional information from hotel valuation techniques that provided some guidance on how to adjust values upwards and downwards based on various conditions. As a result, we came up with the Penn State value with gaming premium, and then we did kind of a low end and high end where there was a minus 30% on the low end for the value of a property, which the property could be depressed because of its location and recent amount of business, and a high end, which is a plus 10% over the PSU value, and that 10% is based on a premium of certain hotels doing particularly well for their segment. As a result, we ended up with a low end and high end value for each one of the properties. The next thing we did was to apply the following rationale. We recommend that MGM hold on to its highly differentiated luxury properties such as the Aria, the Bellagio, and the Mandarin Oriental, and certainly that they hold on to the signature properties like MGM Grand and Mandalay. But as we mentioned before, they have a number of properties that don't really help them with their branding message, and those are the properties that are most eligible for sale. So based on this rationale, we came up with some mid-scale properties, Vdara, Mirage, and the Signature, and some lower-end properties, the Luxor, Excalibur, and Circus Circus. And based on the bounded values, we see that we have a total of $1.9 billion to $3 billion on the upside of cash that MGM could raise by simply selling off these properties. Now, in a minute, Elizabeth's going to talk to us about the branding strategy and how that would be helped by the sale of these properties. But from a purely cash perspective, eliminating $2 to $3 billion of liabilities from the balance sheets would be helpful to MGM, but perhaps even more importantly would be the cash flow if the money raised could be used to retire 2017 and 2018 bonds.
Elizabeth again to discuss some of our recommendations for branding improvements utilizing push and pull methods. The push method would be used as surveys and specific advertising to existing customers to better understand their demographics and preferences. The pull method will be discussed in more detail on another slide, but would basically offer a vacation planning experience similar to Disney. These are the details for the push method and describe conducting customer segmentation studies. This would allow MGM to target high-value customer segments as well as better align marketing to the demographics which best fit each property. It would also reduce properties from cannibalizing each other's customers. This slide shows the difference between MGM vacation planning experience and that of Disney. There is no way for potential MGM customers to narrow down which resort best fits their preferences without clicking through each one. The Disney Vacation Planning website experience is shown on the bottom of the slide. Guests are asked a few questions such as price level and resort class, and the website then provides a set of resorts which fits their needs. They can also add on things to their trip, such as dining plans or theme park tickets. MGM should implement this type of vacation planning on their website. Pram V will now discuss the corporate strategies.
Next, we will touch on the corporate strategy of vertical integration. There are two types of vertical integration, backwards and forwards. MGM participates in only forward vertical integration, mainly because hotels do not gain much from participating in backwards vertical integration. Forward vertical integration for MGM primarily focuses on reservations. They use third-party sites to obtain more reservations. Though this may cut into some of MGM's profits, it is a better decision for the company so that they can stay competitive. MGM receives more profits through direct bookings such as MGM websites, MGM reservations, and the M Life loyalty program. However, MGM still needs to participate in third-party sales in order to not lose market share. But they should still make it a strategic priority to increase the percentage of direct sales using their direct channels. Diversification strategies that MGM uses is another topic I will touch on. MGM has expanded into many different locations and markets over the years. They have casinos operating in more than 20 states within the U.S. and numerous countries around the world. Most U.S. casinos highlight their geographical diversifications as a key competitive strategy. This strategy helps expand their business and reduces sensitivity to economic and regulatory changes. The pros of geographically diversifying are an increased economies of scale, as well as more synergy, flexibility, and bargaining power. The cons of geographical diversification are dealing with complicated factors such as regulations, taxes, and various cultures. Also, a company must consider increased transaction costs and information processing demands. When looking at diversifications in the hotel industry, weighing the pros and cons is just as important in making effective strategic decisions as anything else can be. Another diversification strategy MGM uses is product diversification. Over half their net revenue comes from non-gaming operations, which includes entertainment, food, beverages, and other non-gaming amenities. MGM has also dedicated time into improving the gaming experience in order to set themselves apart from their competitors. This approach can be a diversification strategy as well. MGM has delved into online gaming, began to offer rewards under M Life to elite and loyal customers, and improved their technology for better speed and security at their tables.
This is James again. I'll be covering corporate diversification. MGM's current model is a limited diversification. It is heavily dependent on gaming and associated resort stays for the large majority of the revenue of the organization. In order to better position the company to not be so dependent on gaming, MGM needs to shift to a related constrained diversification. In order to do so, MGM needs to strategically choose complementary industries that would benefit the current operations of the organization. These industries would leverage shared activities between gaming and these industries, including things like support services like marketing and advertising, research, purchasing, technology, etc., as well as have shared learning curve benefits where the expertise that MGM has in its current operation could be leveraged in these additional industries. In other words, it needs industries that specifically would complement the core competencies of the current company. Now we will cover some of the complementary industries that we would suggest in which MGM diversify. MGM should grow their existing non-gaming hotel brands aggressively into new markets. Additionally, the company should also create new sub-branded by MGM brands, specifically in segments where there's not currently a presence by one of MGM's brands. This model would preferably be built for franchising so that they could more aggressively accelerated expansion into select markets. They would specifically want to target markets of high leisure business where there would be a benefit in terms of raising consumer awareness of their non-gaming properties. MGM should also aggressively expand their efforts into online gaming. It's particularly growing in popularity and acceptance in general. There's new technology now that demonstrates that the gaming is fair, which is leading to more credibility. And additionally, a company like MGM taking a larger role would lend additional credibility to online gaming efforts as well. This effort in online gaming would help to counterbalance any erosion that MGM might experience in their traditional brick and mortar gaming revenues. The gaming industry as a whole is rather expensive in its current model. If MGM were to participate more in online gaming, they would benefit from the lower cost model. MGM should also consider the upscale restaurant industry, expanding into high-end restaurants as chains, sub-branded by Bellagio or by MGM, give them existing brand awareness to leverage. And again, they could target select destinations of high tourism, high leisure business, and specific markets where there's an avid food culture. The organization would benefit from a multi-divisional operational structure or a M-form structure. This structure would offer the benefit of shared executives and corporate staff. So this would include board of directors, your C-suite officers, shared services, corporate staff, and activity managers. At the individual industry level, there would be a divisional head or general manager for the operations of each industry. So there would be one for gaming, one for hospitality, and one for restaurants, regardless of gaming or non-gaming locations. Brett will now discuss strategic alliances.
The next section is strategic alliances. Let's take a look at how MGM is using strategic alliances. The first one we'd like to look at would be the MGM and Dubai World. MGM created a strategic alliance with Dubai World on the construction of City Center in Las Vegas. MGM actually began working with Dubai after MGM had started the project, which is a 16.7 million square foot mixed-use development that covers about 76 acres just off the strip. So it's a massive facility. Dubai World is actually the investment arm of the United Arab Emirates government. And as part of the alliance, Dubai World injected $2.4 billion into the project, which at that point in time was thought to be about half of what the value was of City Center. The City Center project was a difficult one. It was built during the recession. They had obviously problems selling out of all the condos that they had built. They had problems renting out all the hotel rooms that they had generated. There were labor union issues. It was a pretty difficult project for both of the partners in the alliance. As part of that partnership, Dubai World did purchase a large number of shares of MGM Resorts and is currently the fourth largest owner of MGM Resorts with 5.3% of all the total shares. Word on the street, though, is that the Dubai World is looking to sell out of that 5.3% ownership in MGM and essentially end this relationship. Another alliance would be MGM and Ameristar casinos. Ameristar doesn't have any casinos on the Strip, and MGM does not have any casinos in the Midwest and Southeast where Ameristar operates. So it's essentially a marketing alliance to offer reciprocal rewards to customers in each one of those casinos' different respective loyalty programs. So it's a way for these two companies to continue to build up their total number of customers by sharing customers between the two of them. MGM and Peel Holdings. Peel Holdings is out of the UK. They are a pretty well-known property and transportation firm in the UK. And what they would like to do is bring some entertainment venues to the United Kingdom, especially some of the larger cities, such as the ones mentioned here. These developments that they're talking about as an alliance are pretty expansive, with MGM bringing in the expertise on development and Peel Holdings bringing in the expertise on land acquisition. So they're talking about developing mixed-use retail areas, hotels, casinos, restaurants, waterfront properties, and even a 20,000-seat sports stadium. And speaking of sports stadiums, the last alliance I'd want to touch on is MGM and AEG, which AEG is a very world-renowned, well-known operator of stadiums. They operate stadiums in New York City, they operate stadiums in Southern California, and they've created an alliance with MGM called the Las Vegas Arena Company, in which they actually want to build a stadium right down on the Strip that would hold about 20,000 people. It would sit right behind New York Casino to open in 2016. And their idea behind that is where they would host the big boxing championships that they typically have there in Vegas. Also have other special events, and of course top musical headline acts would play in the Las Vegas casino there.
M-Life is a loyalty program offered to select MGM customers. M-Life has developed its own alliances with various companies. These alliances allow M-Life clientele to use rewards from various vendors. The first strategic alliance I will talk about in regard to M-Life is the one with MGM and Pinnacle. Pinnacle's reward program is called My Choice. Those members will have access to hotel stays at MGM properties, show tickets, and benefits at MGM resorts. M-Life members have access to hotel stays at Pinnacle properties, which are located in Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, and Nevada, just to name a few. Another alliance MGM has developed is with Hyatt. Hyatt's loyalty program is called Gold Passport. These members have access to MGM resort properties in Las Vegas. M-Life members have access to over 450 Hyatt hotels and resorts worldwide. The next alliance I will touch on is the one MGM developed with Southwest. Southwest's loyalty program is called Rapid Rewards. These members have access to upgrades at MGM resorts in Las Vegas. M-Life members have access to flights on Southwest Airlines. Southwest is the largest airline carrier into Las Vegas, so this helps out MGM M-Life customers greatly. MGM will not gain much benefit from mergers and acquisition activity at this time. This slide explains each type of merger and acquisition, as well as why MGM is not a candidate for those categories. One of the only mergers that MGM is a candidate for, or could be in the future, is online gaming. Once online gaming becomes legal, this may create merger and acquisition opportunities, but only if MGM doesn't already have an in-house online gaming product.
Hi, this is David Schlesinger once again. Our final topic is MGM's international strategy, and actually we've touched upon this several times in the presentation. We believe it's a very important part of MGM's growth. We can see that they've done very well in Macau with their 51% ownership stake in this casino. You can see the net revenue and income figures here for the past couple of years. And what's very encouraging is that MGM has international projects under development in Sanya, Abu Dhabi, and 3 Dubai properties. Now, the last thing that we'll do in this presentation is a brief summary and conclusion. We have tried to look at MGM through the lens of the models presented and studied in the Management 7160 course. We've gone through their strategic analysis, looking at SWOT, and we've looked at VRIO. We've gone through business strategies and corporate strategies, and we've also made some key proposals. So just to summarize our key findings, we discussed the threat of suppliers, and we said that on the one hand, it's a possible weakness because in the gaming industry there are very few suppliers, but on the other hand, we indicated that MGM has the ability to counterbalance that because of their size, and as a result, this is a competitive parity situation where they could maintain the status quo, so we didn't really have any recommendations in those areas. Our recommendations really focused in the areas of branding, their concentration in Las Vegas, MGM's considerable debt, and then their international opportunities. The branding and concentration in Las Vegas are somewhat interrelated. As we noted, MGM has a lot of properties in Las Vegas. Some of them are very, very well differentiated and represent branding strengths, such as the MGM signature properties and a few of the other luxury properties we mentioned. On the other hand, MGM has a number of mid-scale and low-scale properties whose branding message is not very clear. And we recommended that MGM consider selling off some of those properties, and that would really accomplish a couple of things. Number one, it would get them in a position where they can write some debt off of their books and improve their balance sheet. And number two, it would allow them to have a more streamlined branding profile. Freeing up a little bit of money would also help MGM in their international opportunities. And as we noted several times, their main growth opportunity is in the international arena, and that is going to require considerable investment. As a summary, sell off the properties that don't help the strategy, alleviate some debt, improve the branding message, and diversify outside of Las Vegas and especially internationally. Thanks again to everybody on this team for a great team effort, and thank you for your time in listening to our presentation.